Here we go. Beat the odds, an NFL gambling show. This is the week 4 recap. We do this live every Monday morning. Michael Merlo, Beau Dragon here with you. Beau, another interesting day in the NFL. A great Sunday night game, which ends in a tie. We're going to get to all of that in a little bit. But first, I want to recap the day we had gambling. Hit a Sunday night parlay, although a very weird Sunday night parlay, because we were thinking along the same lines. We hit it, but an interesting Sunday night game. We'll get to that in a little bit. We'll start off with the day we had gambling, though we both went 1-2. The difference was you hit your 3-point pick and I hit my 1-point pick.
Yes, and now I'm 4-0 in my 3-point pick. So that's big for me. That's why I have so many points. But dude, like, we got to do a better job. What are we doing, man?
I know.
This is simple stuff.
It's really bad. It's really bad. You know, I'm not making excuses. I'm not. We picked the games on Thursday, but I'm not making excuses. Okay.
Yeah.
Really, Wednesday. Really, you're picking them Wednesday, which is not the easiest thing to do. But either way, I'm not making an excuse. I did bet Minnesota. I lost on Minnesota big. So it is what it is. That was a tough one early in the morning. I woke up and it was 21-6. So I had placed the bet probably like 3:00 in the morning Sunday. So I wake up at 11 and it's 21-6 Pittsburgh. And I was like, oh no, what is going on?
Yeah. And there's a fumble recovery for a touchdown in that game too that was called back. So even before that, it was supposed to be like 14-6 or something like that. It would have been even more. But yeah, I mean, NFL season is here, man. We have no more teams undefeated against the spread now, officially. The Colts plus 3.5 versus the Rams was the last game, and the Rams won by 7. They won like 27-20, I think. So no more teams undefeated by the spread. The NFL season is here. The books win it, as always. We usually, looking at our betting history for our expert picks, we mainly take favorites. We mainly give away points. Like I took Seahawks -1.5, Vikings -2.5, and Commanders -1.5. You had the Vikings -2.5 and the Chargers -6.5. Those favorited teams, besides the Seahawks, which I hit, they straight up lost. So another just interesting fact. I mean, this is BetMGM Sportsbook, but 5 most bet week 4 NFL spreads. One was Vikings -2.5, straight up lost. Chargers -6.5, straight up lost. Packers -7, we all know they tied that game. Lions -10, they won that and they covered that. And then the 5th most bet one was Ravens -2.5, and they straight up lost too. So the sports books are just killing us. And I saw a stat they're winning 4 out of every 5 spreads. At least, where the money is compared to how much money they're losing and making. So it's just insane.
It is insane. And I was on a side that, I knew was chalky in the Chargers. And this is the second time I've bet against the Giants. I've had the team the Giants are playing in my 2-point pick selection, and the Giants happened to cover the spread. Yesterday, they're able to win the game in Jackson Dart's first start. Although Malik Neighbors goes down with a torn ACL, they're able to get the win, the New York Giants, and their defense was unbelievable. You had a team traveling out east, coming from the West after playing 2 straight games over there, spending basically 3 weeks there. And now they come to New York and they get a big loss to Chargers. I'm not going to overreact to it from a Chargers perspective. I still like them to win the division. I still like them as a team that could go on a run in the postseason, but it was a hiccup at the hands of a rookie quarterback in New Jersey yesterday.
Right, and looking at it from a bettor's perspective, there's many things you can take away from this game that you want to bet on for player prop-wise. I mean, first of all, Giants are favorites now against the Saints in New Orleans. They're 1.5-point favorites, so that's interesting. But also, no Malik Neighbors. So who's going to step up? Who's going to be that guy if you want to bet on player props? Obviously, Wan'Dale Robinson is the guy you go to, who you first think of. But Darius Slayton got a lot of touches yesterday. Got a lot of targets, which we didn't see most of the season so far.
No.
There was that one play where Jackson Dart motioned him back. He was on like the 1-yard line, I think, and he motioned him back and comeback route, and he came back and caught the ball for a first down. So stuff like that is the stuff that Jackson Dart can do. So Darius Slayton's one of those guys you can look at who can step up in the passing game. And to the Chargers side, Ladd McConkey had 3 drops. He's been awful this season. What happened to Ladd, right?
Yeah, Ladd's been bad.
He's having one of those fall-offs. It's not as bad as Brian Thomas Jr. because his is horrible. But Ladd is not having a good season. And if you drafted him in, let's say, probably a second round in fantasy, maybe the third, maybe even the first for some people, awful decision. He had 3 drops yesterday. Chargers didn't look together yesterday. Yeah, Shane Bowen finally did a good job for the Giants.
Yeah, they did it. They did a good job. Abdul Carter had a great game. Brian Burns had a great game. The pass rush was unbelievable yesterday, and that's the difference in the game. When the offense slowed down towards the middle of the third quarter, there, it was the defense that really stepped up and made big plays. Although they couldn't tackle all Murray and Hampton, who had a nice night, they really just did a great job against that offensive line. Yes, Joe Alt went down, but 100% Giants defense stepped up. And now you look at a game that we were on the opposite side of, the Falcons and the Commanders. I'm sure you were kicking yourself when you found out the news of Jaden Daniels. I had the Falcons at +1.5. Now, that's the one thing about making these picks. We could get good lines early in the week, depending on what happens. I got a great line. You got a really poor line. And the Falcons offensively kicked ass yesterday and got a big, big bounce back win after the 30-0 loss to the Panthers the week prior.
Yeah, to be honest, when Jaden Daniels went down, like officially was out, same with Terry McLaurin, I was like, you know what? I still kind of like this pick. So it was disappointing for sure. The Commanders kind of pulled within a few later on, but earlier in the game, Falcons were just dominating them. Big game from Drake London. Bijan obviously over 100 receiving yards again, so that's huge for him. Betting wise, he's a huge receiving running back, and that's huge to bet on too. So the other ones, DeAndre Swift is up there, and Jones is up there, but Christian McCaffrey is like one of the best receivers right now, which is crazy, fantasy wise, betting wise. So if you're looking to bet on running backs for receiving yards, dude, those are your guys, Bijan and Christian McCaffrey.
100%. Oh my! I can't believe how good Bijan's been in the passing game. I mean, it's incredible. And Bunk and I were talking about the 1-2 punch that they have over there in Atlanta last night. They have weapons, man. They can be dangerous. They just have to put it together offensively, and it starts with Penix and the offensive coaching staff putting it together with these weapons that they have, because they do have the talent. And we'll see if they're able to do it the rest of the year. It feels like the NFL season is flying by. The Sunday Night Football game last night, that was a great one. It just sucks it ends in a tie. The Packers and the Cowboys. I mean, Dak Prescott put on a freaking show last night, along with Jordan Love as well. Pickens without Mr. CeeDee Lamb. They had a huge day. And I don't know who this feels like a win for or a loss for, but I feel like if you're the Cowboys, you're in this game all night against a team that a lot of people believe is one of the 2 or 3 best in the NFC. I feel like if you're a Cowboys fan, you know the defense is awful. You know your defense is awful. So to be competitive in this game against a good defense, you got to feel good about it.
This is a win for the Cowboys for sure. Dak Prescott is a good quarterback, and he solidified that this year. This was the Giants game all over again, though. And the only difference is that they tied and didn't win, the Cowboys. Cowboys can't be doing this every game. It is not healthy for anybody on that team, and it's not a consistent way to stay competitive in games or stay winning. So that's tough for them. But playing that game at home, dude, that was a tough game to watch. Like, it was stressful, especially if you had bets on it. I was sweating out a Tucker Kraft touchdown ever since he got down to the half-yard line in the first quarter. It was like the first drive. And then he got down to the half-yard line again, and they originally called it a touchdown, but he was out of bounds. A shoulder touch out of bounds. The ball was short. I needed $150. That was, if Tucker Kraft, 2 parlays would have got me $150.
Wow.
If Kraft's got 1 touchdown, that's all I needed. So that was a tough sweat last night, but it was also a really good game. Dak's a good quarterback, and Jordan Love and the Packers, they have a good offense. They have an okay offense. I wouldn't even say it's great. Their defense needs to figure it out. They really need to figure it out.
Well, that's supposed to be the strength. Right there is supposed to be the strength of that team, and it wasn't last night. Again, you're playing a good quarterback. I understand that, but it was not a strength last night for them. And they end up tying this game, which should have been a win for them, which should have been a win. They let them go down the field really late last night, the Cowboys, and get points with the Pickens touchdown. It was a crazy ending. It was a great game and good for NBC and Sunday Night Football. They get one right. I thought this could have been a bad game, and it looked like it was trending towards that way at 13-0. Then you had the block kick 13-2, which was a little weird. I sat down to do a Mets end of year podcast at 13-2.
Oh, no.
And I put my phone down. I didn't look at it for probably like 20, 25 minutes. And all of a sudden, my phone is blowing up because, I was playing George Pickens in one of my big leagues, and he had like 20 points. And I'm like, oh, crap, it's 16-13. What the hell's going on? So that was interesting.
Yeah, and Cowboys were up 16-13.
Yeah, the Cowboys were up. So
yeah.
we got a game here. So then I was like, all right, we gotta put this game on. The Eagles and the Bucks. I think it's true that Jalen Hurts didn't attempt to pass or complete a pass, in the second half of yesterday's game. They're still able to get the win. AJ Brown had a very quiet day, 9 targets, only 2 catches. And the Eagles, once again, on special teams, make a big play, which ends up being the difference in the game. And they were able to get a big win in Tampa, a place where they have not had success. And I think they finally got a monkey off their back here in Tampa. And they just continue to roll. It's the best team in football. It's the best team in the NFC, without question right now, the Philadelphia Eagles.
This is a big question for me. A.J. Brown, where is he? What is he doing? What are the Eagles using him for? Because I have him on my fantasy team. I tried to stay away from him, but I couldn't. I had to take him because I had like the 3rd overall pick. So in a 12-man league, the snake draft, tough. I had to take him with the 2nd pick, not my first one. But he's getting his targets. But he was covered and locked up almost all the time yesterday, not last night. And it's really frustrating for him. Obviously, he took to Twitter after and shared his frustration. He was like, oh, I'm in the silence and nobody's listening to me. Nobody wants me. Like all that, BS. They still won the game, so you should be happy. I don't care if he got no targets or 12 targets, 20 targets, whatever. He should be happy. But this is a big question mark on should you be betting on A.J. Brown? And my answer right now is no. Completely stay away from him because we don't know what could be happening with him, what their plan is, when they're going to use him. Because the game before last, he had a big game, his only one of the year. This game, terrible. He had 2 receptions for 7 yards on 9 targets. He had 9 targets and 2 touches, which is crazy. Going to the other side, Emeka Egbuka, he makes awesome catches. Like this dude has hands, strong hands too. But he was locked up yesterday by Quinyon Mitchell. So that's something to look forward to if you're betting against the Eagles. Who is Quinyon Mitchell covering? Because he had an awesome game yesterday. Emeka Egbuka had 100 yards still, but 4 receptions and a touchdown. Emeka Egbuka is turning into their number 1 with Mike Evans gone, which is crazy.
We know about this passing game. Bucky Irving even got involved yesterday. They're an electric offense, but they haven't played anybody, Tampa. They haven't, and they're winning these games late. You can't figure that you're going to be able to come back in these games late against good teams. Against the bad teams, sure. Against the Jets, okay. Against the Texans, okay. Against the Falcons in week 1, okay. But not an Eagles team. They're not going to make those mistakes late in the game like the other teams are going to do, and they're able to get the win. The Ravens and the Chiefs, this was a blowout. I actually really liked the Chiefs. They were almost a pick of mine. They probably should have been. I thought the better defense at home against a team that was starting to figure it out offensively. That was a nice pick. It was a public side, though, but the Chiefs are able to get a huge win at home. And now I think they solidified themselves again as one of the top teams in this league. I think right now in the AFC, you have to look at the Chiefs and say they're getting Rashee Rice back in a couple of weeks. Worthy was back yesterday. They're starting to get more comfortable. They need to go get a running back at some point, but they are getting more comfortable offensively, and the defense is just as good as it was last season. This is a scary, scary team.
Yeah, Spagnuolo really knows how to beat those good teams, which is really good for them, and that's what they've been needing. Their defense hasn't been what it was last year until this week. They completely got in Lamar. They couldn't. Lamar, the Ravens didn't have an answer for the Chiefs. That's what I was trying to say.
Okay.
Good game for the Chiefs. This is a confidence boost for sure. Betting on the Chiefs now, I have confidence in it again because the first couple games I was just like, oh, they're the Chiefs, so there's always a chance, but they looked awful, so they can't do anything. Now I feel confident betting in them again. And now the Giants have the same record as the Ravens. Who would have thought that going into week 5?
That's insane. And like, if you want to overreact on the Ravens, I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm not going to do it yet. I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to miss the playoffs because I don't believe that. I think they still have a chance in that division. But I mean, at 1-3, you're not feeling good about yourself right now. You're certainly not feeling good as a Ravens fan, as a Ravens player, as an employee of the Ravens. You don't feel good about that right now. The Rams,
employee of the Ravens, I love it.
as the Rams and the Colts. The Colts, oh my God, Adonai Mitchell. They had this game tied. They had took a lead in this game. It would have been a tie game. Instead, the Rams were able to go down the field and get a big touchdown and a big win for the Rams. Moved to 3-1. Colts moved to 3-1 as well. Thought the Colts competed. Thought anybody that called the Colts frauds, if I was even thinking it for a little bit, I thought they proved everybody wrong yesterday with going into LA and being very competitive against a really good Rams team.
Daniel Jones has stepped it up for sure. I don't remember the stat exactly, but I think he was 12 for 18 with 198 yards and either 1 or 2 touchdowns with pressure in his face. So he excelled against pressure yesterday. Mm-hmm. And we all know that this is probably one of the best defensive lines in football, the Rams, with Jared Verse and everybody there. But Daniel Jones was able to take it and run and be productive with it. The only problem is that when there was no pressure in his face, he didn't do anything. I think he had like 60-something yards. It was terrible. So the Colts are a competitive team. The Rams are too. And this is the Rams' defining game because they've all been in, close games or blowouts with bad teams. So a Colts team that was 3-0 and also 3-0 against the spread, and the Rams come in and beat them straight up by 7 points. Of course, the Adonai Mitchell touchback would have changed this game, and that just can't happen. But this Colts team is good, and I feel confident in them too. After, week 2 or 3, maybe everybody thought that they would be the Saints from last year, where the Saints scored, like 90-something points in their first 2 games and then called it quits after that. They were done. But this Colts team is good. Great offense, great offensive line, good defense. Daniel Jones is stepping up. Jonathan Taylor looks like an offensive player of the year. It was a fun game. But Colts should have won that. Absolutely. They needed to win that, to be honest.
Yeah, they did. They did. Let's move on here to Monday Night Football before we get out of here. We have 2 games tonight, the Jets and the Dolphins, and the Bengals and the Broncos. We'll make picks on these games with the spread, and then we'll get the hell out of here. I'll start with the Jet game. I like the Dolphins tonight. I think the more desperate team is going to get the win, and I feel as though the Dolphins are more desperate. I'll take the Dolphins -2.5 because the hungry dog runs faster. They showed up in Buffalo last week, played a very, very tight game in a game where everybody thought they were going to get blown out. I think they're going to win this game. I think they're going to win the game outright, and they're going to cover. I really like the Dolphins tonight. And by the way, Tua, in games that he has started and finishes against the Jets, he's 6-0 in those games. 6-0. So I will take the Dolphins.
Okay, you just convinced me because I was going to go Jets here. I think the Jets running offense destroys this Miami defense. But what you just said might have convinced me because Tua turned it on last week against the Bills, and that was a very competitive game. There was basically 1 or 2 scores the entire game. And the Jets are not nearly as good as the Bills. Jets need to figure out their defense quick. I'm still going to go Jets just to go with the Jets here. Another interesting fact, Garrett Wilson hit 50-plus receiving yards in 8 straight games. So if you're looking for that, I think his odds are pretty short on that. I think they're like -150, or I would say long. The odds are long in comparison to what you would think it would be. -150. That's pretty good value on 50 yards for a ninth straight game. Yeah, I like the Jets here. I'm just going to take them because why not? I think this can go either way though.
I really like Aaron Glenn, but the defense has not looked good. And the defense didn't look good last year either. Of course, not under Aaron Glenn. But the defense wasn't good last year. And now the defense doesn't look good again this year. Those are my concerns with the Jets. I don't know how long it takes to get right, but I don't think it gets right tonight in Miami. The other game tonight, the Bengals and the Broncos in Denver. Denver is -7.5. You have the Bengals coming off a just piss poor performance last week against the Vikings, where they turned the ball over, defensive touchdowns they gave up. I'm going to take the Bengals getting 7.5, as disgusting as it is. You know, when you have a team that played so poorly the week prior, going on the road on prime time, most people believe that it's just going to be a blowout. I'm going to go the opposite way. This is just basically a contrary pick. I don't want to take 7.5 with Denver. They haven't really clicked this year, Denver. Denver has not gotten things right yet offensively. So with Bo Nix still kind of struggling here, I will take the Bengals getting 7.5.
You're right. That's the right pick to take for all those reasons you just mentioned. It's just so hard to see, and maybe this is why the sports books always win. This is hard to see. Hard to see that the Bengals cover. I like that extra half point above the 7, so maybe that's the swing right there. But the Broncos can absolutely destroy this Bengals team. They have the same defense, if not even better, than the Vikings in what they did last week. They have that potential, at least, is what I'm saying. And the Broncos offense got it going a little bit last week. Broncos have played good teams. Bengals are not a good team. Jake Browning is not the guy you want to look for.
No.
The Broncos have only given up 2 passing touchdowns all year, tied for first. So if the Bengals are looking to get it done in the air, it's not going to happen. That's not going to be their ticket to tonight's game, to victory in tonight's game. The only thing that's keeping me from hammering -7.5 for the Broncos is that this could be a closer game than we thought. And in close games, obviously the 7.5, getting 7.5 is what you want to do. So I don't even know if I want to say anything because it could literally go either way. I'm just going to oppose you again. I'm going to go Broncos -7.5 just to do it. But I think your bet is a smarter bet if you want to make the right decision.
So you're going against me just to go against me.
Just to go against him, Mike. Just to go against
me. That'll do it for the Week 4 recap show. Thank you so much for listening. We will talk to you guys on Thursday with the Week 5 NFL betting show, where we will give you our expert picks, play the 2-minute drill, give you a Sunday night parlay, and much, much more on that show. Punter Profit. Stay tuned for that on our Instagram account, BTO Gambling Instagram account. We'll talk to you guys later in the week. Enjoy Monday Night Football, a doubleheader, as we get set for Week 5.